Hi everybody. This story starts on a Sunday afternoon. I went into the kitchen to make a cup of tea, and it was such a silly thing. I just pulled the lid off the tea caddy thing, and it's very tight because you have to keep a seal when you have fresh tea leaves to keep the flavour in, and just that action of pulling that off sent me flying backwards onto the floor because my balance is so poor. Anyway, I knew I'd done something. The pain was extraordinary. I had very odd sensations where you don't want odd sensations around my groin area, and I knew I'd done something bad. So I took myself off to the hospital and had an x-ray. Now they said, no, you haven't done anything and nothing's broken at least. So we're okay. So I went home. And from there, the following week was horrendous. I had increasing numbness and in my legs and lower regions, and the pain was extraordinary. I couldn't walk, I couldn't stand. I just spent my time in bed trying to get in a position of least pain. And anyway, I was talking to a friend of mine by the end of the week, and she said, you really should go to emergency at the hospital. So Friday night, I made arrangements to have my support worker come on Saturday to help me pack a bag because I knew I'd be going into hospital for this. This was extraordinary. I was now becoming incontinent, and I've never felt anything like this in my life. So this video begins at Latrobe Regional Hospital at the ED department. Hi, I'm here at Latrobe Regional Hospital in the ED waiting area, being triaged and waiting to go into the actual ED, so don't know how long I'll be here. They're a bit busy at the moment, so we shall wait and see. This is my hospital bear, Bob, who comes on every hospital trip with me. I'm in Latrobe Regional Hospital's emergency department there. I've got my cannula in. As you can see, my blood pressure is very high. I was in a lot of pain at the time, so that would explain that. So in the middle of the night, I was bundled into an ambulance with Jess and Dave, the paramedics, and sent off for a very painful and uncomfortable trip to Melbourne. A couple of hours later, here I am at Alfred Hospital Emergency. Pardon, sorry I'm a bit dopey. I've had a few pain meds tonight, so I'm not quite with it. They think I may have something called Cauda Equina, which is it's where the end of the spinal cord gets compressed, and it's considered a medical emergency apparently, and that's why I've been brought down here to the Alfred. Cauda Equina Syndrome occurs when the nerve roots of the cauda equina are compressed and disrupt motor and sensory function to the lower extremities and bladder. Patients with this syndrome are often admitted to the hospital as a medical emergency. CES can lead to incontinence and even permanent paralysis. Here's Bob and I waiting to go into surgery. From this point on, I'm pretty hazy. I went into surgery. It took longer than they expected. You have to lay on your stomach all the time you're having this surgery, and things can happen. And unfortunately, when I came out of this anaesthetic, I didn't come out well. I can vaguely remember screaming out over and over, I want to die. Where that came from, I don't know. And I can remember that one of them picked up my arm and it just flopped down, like in Harry Potter. When he had no bones in his arm, that's what it looked like to me. That was I can remember thinking, oh gosh, I'm like Harry Potter. I have no bones in my arm. But as it turned out, I'd had a stroke as well. It's having this surgery, so I had been affected on my left side. I was surrounded by a multitude of doctors trying to figure out what was going on with me. They had a specialist intensive care doctor come up, and I've never seen so many doctors in one place. But anyway, I was a mess. There was all sorts of things going on. My vision seemed to be affected. All sorts of stuff was happening. After that, I don't remember much. I don't know the time frame or anything. I remember waking up again at some point in the ward at the Alfred in 6 East. I was a mess. Physically, an absolute mess. It's all I know. It was very unpleasant, very embarrassing, and I have to say that the nurses at 6 East, you are fantastic. I had a bunch of male nurses as well. They all treated me with so much kindness, and despite my many indignities, they handled it all very nicely, and I want to thank them so much, because I was in a lot of pain, a lot of unpleasant things happened, and it was they were wonderful. I've got nothing but praise for those nurses. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is my ward, 6 East, at the Alfred Hospital. There's Bob sitting on my bed, looking out to the corridor, coming around. That's just the board that tells the nurses who I am and who's the nurses who are looking after me that day. Go around. And this is the view I had. It's out towards St Kilda Road, towards Wesley College. The trees are coming from Wesley College. And we just go around. And that's the end of my room tour. This is a bit gross. It's my wound with 22 staples. Even more gross was the drain that they had in my back to drain out fluid. This is me on a trolley going into a transport ambulance to go back to the Latrobe Valley. This was the first attempt to get me back. it was just a transport ambulance, so it's not as comfortable by any stretch of the imagination as a regular ambulance. So this was terrible. Here we are getting into the lift. Anyway, they loaded me up into this transport ambulance, and I knew I was going to be in trouble the minute we left the parking lot because there were 2 speed humps. That was very painful. I thought, this isn't going to be good. So we then proceeded out onto the streets. There were tram tracks, normal bumps in the road. It was horrendous. And we got about 15 minutes away from the hospital, and I was screaming in tears in pain. It was absolutely dreadful. So they turned me on my side by my suggestion to help. Maybe that would help because I did better on my side. But within a couple of minutes, it wasn't going to work. Obviously, I was in terrible pain, so they took me back to the hospital where I had to be heavily sedated because I was in so much pain. And it was, I don't remember, I remember feeling the best I've ever felt in my life, having all these wonderful drugs on board, but they then had to figure out what they were going to do to get me back. Several hours later, after I'd woken up and come around again and I was fine, although I was very sore, of course, because they had taken out those staples before we left the first time, so that my wound was now very sore. So they figured out later that night at 10:30 that I was heavily sedated again, so to the point of I don't remember anything, and they put me in another transport ambulance and they sent me back to the Latrobe Valley. Here they've loaded me into the ambulance and I had my leg braces on, and I asked the young chap if he would take them off.
You want the shoe off? You want the brace off as well?
Yeah, it'll come off as one if you just pull
with the shoe. Gotcha. So I'm just gonna let me unstrap it.
Don't even have to do that.
Really?
No, just it's all loose.
Oh, that's too easy. Okay. So they're special shoes, are they? Oh, okay, got it. It fits in there.
Yeah.
Fits into your normal shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, so those ones are
better.
right. Feels better, yeah?
Just get my nose off.
Right. Bend those knees for me. And the other one. Is that all right?
That's a bit better, yeah.
Do you want more?
The next attempt to get me back to LRH was successful. This is the next morning, and I was thinking I was going straight to the rehab at the Latrobe Regional Hospital, but I didn't. I actually was put in the actual hospital itself. This is the new part of the hospital. It's been built about 2-3 years now, and this is my nice room. This is my ensuite bathroom in my hospital room, all wheelchair accessible, very nice. This was my wound the day after I got to LRH. It was just starting to open rather than staying closed. It will continue to open and be very painful over the next few weeks. This is the patient TV rec room, coffee room that was upstairs near my room at LRH. You could just go there and have a bit of a break from the room. Still had to be socially distanced, and there was hand sanitizer on the tables, etc. The meals at LRH were so delicious. This is only one of many lovely meals that they served. I was very impressed. I'm at Nicholson Rehab Unit at the La Trobe Regional Hospital. I've been here a few days now, and prior to that I was upstairs in the main part of the hospital, because when I came back from the Alfred Hospital I wasn't in great shape, because there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. But anyway, with this spinal surgery, and I'm here now. I'm going to start some intensive physio this week, and hopefully I can get going. I am improving. I can walk without pain for a short time now. I can stand. Just got to build up some strength and everything. One thing that's happened is I have developed some kind of severe allergy. We don't know to what or whatever. It started the day I moved down to Nicholson. The day after, actually, the next morning, I noticed this rash. Turned out it was because of my allergy to adhesive dressings or any kind of band-aids or anything like that, and it spread all over my body. We found out after I'd left that that's what it was. On my hands, and it's developed really hard. It's very, very unpleasant. So we haven't sorted that out yet, but I'm on prednisolone and antihistamines and steroid creams and all sorts of stuff to try and get it under control, whatever it may be. Also, my wound from the actual spinal operation hasn't quite healed. It's still a bit gooey. It's okay. As far as we know, the infection didn't spread. Indeed, in this photo, you can see that the infection is starting to get a hold. Also, because I have an allergy to all kinds of medical adhesives, every time I get the dressing changed, I get a couple of days of relief, and then it all comes up in blisters and red, angry, itchy things, which is very nice. So, as you can tell, I'm quite uncomfortable. As you can see here, the infection is starting to spread and get a bit gooey. Being itchy and horrible and grumpy. Hopefully, I can get... Sorry about the shaking. My ataxia is playing up and I'm trying to hold the phone, but it's a bit hard. Sorry about that. Hopefully, if I can get out of here in a week, if everything gets under control, I'll be extremely happy. Hello, plane going overhead right now. It's a beautiful day. It's a real spring warm day. I haven't really enjoyed much of it. I had a very bad night, and after breakfast this morning I just slept till about lunchtime, and then I just didn't have the energy to do anything. Haven't even bothered to shower today. I'll have a shower before dinner or after dinner, because I want to wash my hair, because I've got to start physio at 9 a.m. and I want to be all ready for that. I don't want to be trying to rush a shower in the morning, because I can't rush at the moment. I spend my days doing puzzles, Sudoku. Sorry about the shaking, it's really bad. iPad games and watching YouTube. Luckily, I had saved up a lot of my monthly Telstra internet data just for this period that I knew I'd be away from home. So hopefully I'll have enough data to last me till I can get out of here, because I'm really pushing it. I've been listening to my Audible talking books. Oh, I love Audible. Thank you so much, Audible. I love you. And the trouble was that I have a talking book machine, a Victor Stream, which I normally put my books on. You put them on a little card, SD card, and it goes into the machine and you listen to your books. And you can manipulate the tone and the speed of the voice and what have you, which is what most blind people do when they're listening to books. They don't always listen to them at the normal rate of speed because it just takes, takes too long. Anyway, but of course, guess who left their SD card in their laptop back home? I've got the Stream. I can listen to podcasts and things like that, but I can't listen to any books on it. So luckily I've got Audible on my iPad, so I've been able to listen to my books. However, you can't adjust the speed or the tone, which can be a bit of a drag. That's all right. I'll live. At least I've got my books. That's the main thing. So today's probably the first time I've felt bored, but that's only because I haven't made any effort to get out of bed and do something until now, and it's, late-ish afternoon. And I was able to borrow a manual wheelchair from physiotherapy over the weekend, so I've been able to get out of my room. Otherwise I can't get out because I'm not allowed to walk unsupervised with my walker, and I don't want to take up nurses too much, their time. They're busy, so I only come out in this. So during the week, I'm hoping I'll get permission maybe tomorrow that I can walk by myself with my walker, and then I'll be able to get out of the room. Of course, we have to abide to the stage 3 rules for COVID. So consequently, I'm wearing a mask. Whenever I leave my room, I have to wear a mask. And we're not allowed to go and visit other patients. We can visit them from the doorway, that's fine, but you're not allowed in people's rooms, which is fair enough. But we don't have to wear our masks in our room. However, the staff, all the nurses and doctors are all wearing masks, etc., etc. So it's okay. Anyway, I'll let you know how I go tomorrow with physio, and we'll see what happens. Bye. This is the view out of the window in my rehab room, and a little tour of the room, the bed, bedside table. There's my bathroom, out to the corridor and the wall. It's a nice room. Now we're going on a tour of the ward. How exciting. So that's me going down past my own room and the fellow in the next room, turning around a corner, and down there is the nurses' station. I did this on a Sunday, I think, so that I could get it done without too many people around. Now I'm going through the kitchen part, and this is where the nurses have their breaks usually, or outside, but sometimes they do their paperwork here. And you can sit there and have a coffee yourself if you want. And the TV, you can sit there and watch it. Now I'm going outside. Lovely spring day. Beautiful. Now over here, this is usually where the staff come for a smoke. They sit over there. That's another door into the ward. Turn around and I'll go back. This is where you can come out and just sit. Go back in. Some books you can read. Patient rooms. Which way next? I'll head back towards the nurses' station. I've got this on a faster speed. They're not really walking as fast as that, but because it is quite slow because I had to drive so slowly, we'll head past the nurses' station again and then go down my corridor. That's chap's room on the right, my room on the right. Just going to turn into a little utility room, and it's also where they keep all the dressings. And there's a look out to the sensory garden. Bob the bear wearing his full PPE. Back to my wound, and as you can see, the infection is getting worse and much worse. That's the last photo, thank goodness. That's the last photo of the wound. It took about 6 weeks for it to actually heal. It was a very slow and painful process. And finally, here's Bob and myself ready to go home at last. Well, that was my excitement for 2020. I didn't expect any of that, and it wasn't something I ever want to repeat again. Thank you very much. I go to physio 3 days a week to get myself back on track. I can now walk with a walker. I can also walk a little bit unassisted. I don't like to try and walk outside if I can avoid it. I still prefer to use Albus because my balance just isn't up for the game of walking out in footpaths and stuff, and I can't walk any distance anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. Again, I'd like to thank Ambulance Victoria and the staff at the Alfred Hospital, particularly Ward 6 East, for being so fantastic and kind to me. And let's hope that's my last medical adventure for a very, very long time. Cauda Equina Syndrome isn't a pleasant thing. It was scary and painful, and I feel for anybody whoever is in that situation. And hopefully my next video will be a little bit more on the bright side. Bye for now. If you liked my story, please have a look at some of my other videos. Like and subscribe, and you will get notifications of any new videos that I do. Thank you.